Chair, members, my name is Jeremy Newman. I'm the Vice President of the Family Freedom Project, here in support of the bill. And this is probably one of the simpler CPS bills that you're going to hear this session. It's one that Justice Blacklock specifically talked about in his State of the Judiciary address. And there might be some redundancy to the testimony, so I'm going to try and be brief and simple. I think a story illustrates this well. This is one of the only grounds, actually maybe the only ground, for termination of parental rights that does not even give a pretense of there being harm to the child in order for you to be able to terminate parental rights. And that makes it somewhat unique among all of the grounds. And we got a phone call from a family in Dallas last fall, and the story they had was that they'd gone to the hospital because they had a baby who had a rash. The hospital called CPS, and in the course of that CPS case, CPS gave them services to complete. And one of the first services that the father had to complete involved him skipping work in order to go to these services. Because he had to skip work, he lost his job. Because he lost his job, he lost his house. And two other conditions for completing the service plan were that he had to maintain steady employment and steady housing. And so the result of all of that was that they became eligible to have their rights terminated under the O grounds, because the service plan itself created the circumstances that allowed for the termination of parental rights. And that is what the O grounds does. It serves no other legitimate function, because if there was harm to the child or significant risk of harm to the child, you could terminate under a different ground. So the thing that makes the O grounds unique is that it gives not even a pretense that there is a harm or a threat of harm to the child before it allows termination of parental rights. And for that reason, we strongly support the bill and the desire to strike that so that we're not tearing families apart when there is not a risk of harm to the child.